Good morning. I am here to guide us through a seated yoga practice. So let's begin by getting ourselves situated and centered. So placing the feet on the floor, any comfortable distance apart, ankles stacked under the knees, preferably a chair where your knees and hips are in alignment. If not, somewhere where you can at least have your feet flat on the floor is definitely ideal. Somewhere where you can feel comfortable. So let's begin by bringing awareness to our feet, noticing the feet, whether they're barefoot or shoes, and the surface they connect to, the surface they touch. Noticing the backs of the legs and hips as they're supported by your chair. Noticing what part of your back is supported by the chair. And let's just take a few breaths to continue to get ourselves centered and in this present moment. If you would like to, you may close your eyes. Sometimes I find that helpful to stay turned more inward, letting go of the outside distractions. So as we inhale, I invite us to bring expansion to the abdomen, up through the rib cage, up through heart center. As we exhale, noticing the heart center, the rib cage, the navel center, soften, release, maybe even contract. If it's helpful, you can place your hand on your navel center and your heart to feel the breath. Inhale, we feel a sense of lift. Exhale, we feel a sense of release. Inhaling, filling up the lungs. As we exhale, we're releasing the air from the lungs. And then just pausing, maybe placing hands on the lap, just returning to your natural breath. And without judgment, just noticing how that breath practice felt. I always encourage us to breathe as fluidly as we can, keeping the nervous system in harmony and allowing our breath to move to the depths of the lungs, taking advantage of the surface area of the lungs, thus getting the oxygen and nutrients to the tissues. From here, we'll just invite gentle movement, beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes. I know you can't really see my toes, but just wiggling the toes and the fingers. And then placing the hands back on the lap. Let's inhale, rise the shoulders towards the ears, feeling maybe some tension between the shoulders and the ears. Exhale, lowering the shoulders. Let's take that 2 more times. Inhaling up, exhale, lower. One more time. And from here, let's just wiggle our knees in and out, just inviting some rhythmic movement to the body. And then we'll come to scoot towards the edge of the chair, just so there's space between the back and the chair. Placing hands on our lap. Let's think here, once again, ankles under knees, rooting down through our feet, beginning to lengthen through the spine. Imagining there's a string on the crown of the head, the top of the head, lifting you up to create space between the vertebrae. And pausing here, just noticing what that feels like. And then as we inhale, beginning to arch the spine gently a little bit more, begin to open up through the fronts of the shoulders, the heart maybe slightly lifting the chin. As we exhale, we begin to gently tuck and round a little bit, just very small movements here. Now, if rounding forward and just continuing to flow, inhaling, we think expansion, lift. Exhale, we think tuck and round, and just continue to flow as I talk. Now, if we have any reason we shouldn't be rounding forward, like if we have osteoporosis or osteopenia, I invite us to come into our expansion on the inhale and back to a neutral spine on the exhale. And even if we don't have those considerations, if we notice one of the movements just doesn't feel good in our body, now it's causing some kind of pain or pinching, I invite us to take the motions that feel appropriate, nourishing, where we can still have that calm, fluid breath. Let's take a couple more. And then let's just pause back and center in our neutral spine. If we feel like we need to rest against the chair, feel free to do so. We're just going to pause, kind of let those movements move through our system to where the energy needs to go. And just keeping in mind too that that movement, notice that's pretty accessible throughout our day. So if we are seated at a computer or we're driving a lot, just mindful movement breaks can be very, very helpful. And then from here, let's come back to scoot towards the edge of the chair, just working on this core strength, our posture here in a seated position. Once again, checking in with our feet, rooting our feet to the ground, ankles under knees. Let's bring our arms to our side, palms facing forward. This is our seated mountain pose. From here, let's inhale, maybe expand a little bit more, maybe even begin to rotate the thumbs behind us. As we exhale, let's give ourselves a gentle hug, noticing which arm is on top. Inhale, let's open back up. Exhale, crossing the opposite arm on top. And just continuing to flow here. And maybe today we only can reach to our forearms. That's okay. Maybe every time we try this, we can get a little further. Remembering it's not a competition. We are meeting ourselves in our yoga practice where we are today. Just take a couple more. Inhaling to open, exhaling to hug. And let's come back to center. Inhaling, let's think of lifting and lengthening through the spine. As we exhale, let's rotate towards the left, taking the right hand to the left leg, left hand somewhere on the chair. Just a little small rotation. So with our rotations, we try to keep our legs and our hips rooted and lead our rotation with heart center. And continuing to think of lengthening through the spine as we breathe and hold here. If we notice we're beginning to round forward, that's just a little signal we've gone too far. So just gently back it up a little bit. And let's come back to center, pausing here. As we inhale, we lift and lengthen. Exhale, we'll rotate towards the right, left hand to the right leg, right hand to somewhere on the chair. Again, rooting, stabilizing through the lower body, the hips, leading with heart center to rotate. And let's take it back to center. Let's take that one more time to each side. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, we rotate to the opposite side. Let's hold here for 2 more breaths. When we feel ready, let's inhale, take it back to center and pause. Take a couple breaths here. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, rotating towards the right one more time and breathing for about 3 breaths. Let's come back to center. One more exercise here. Let's take our left arm up, reach it towards the sky. Maybe take our right fingertips, reach it towards the earth, softening the shoulders. Staying right here just to feel the side body length here. Maybe you even take your right hand to your left rib cage and feel the breath move in and out. Inhaling, expansion. Maybe the hand lifts. Exhaling, the hand lowers or moves back towards center. And let's float our left arm back down. Let's just round the shoulders a little bit here. And we'll move to the other side, reaching the right arm up. Reaching the left fingertips down. Maybe we take the left hand to the right rib cage. And we'll release both hands back to the ground. Let's just round out one more time. Maybe circle the wrists, wiggle the fingers. We'll come back to just a comfortable seated position in the chair, scooting back. Once again, finding our ankles under our knees, feeling our feet as they rest on the ground. And we'll wrap up our yoga practice with our Shavasana, which is our final resting or relaxation pose. It just gives us the opportunity to transition before we move back into our real world activities. It helps all the movements and energy that we've created kind of settle into the body. So I really encourage us to pause here. This can be the most difficult pose, but it's really can be the most important pose. So when we're ready, we can close our eyes if that's comfortable or begin to soften the gaze. Once again, turning our awareness inward, noticing our feet on the ground, the ankles, knees, hips, the length of our spine, the natural curves of our spine, up to the base of the neck, the back of the neck, to the base of the skull. Bringing awareness to our fingertips, hands, wrists, elbows, shoulders. The space below our navel center, the space above our navel center, our heart center, the throat, the back of the head, the ears, the jaw and chin, mouth, cheeks, nose, eyes, eyebrows, forehead, crown of the head. Awareness from the crown of the head, floating back down the whole body all the way to the toes. I invite you to pause here in stillness for a few more breaths. And we'll begin to invite awareness back to this moment, beginning to wiggle the toes and the fingers, maybe the wrists and the ankles. Just gently add some movement, maybe to the shoulders, perhaps turning the head side to side. And let's gather hands together at heart center, thumbs to the heart, heart to the thumbs. As we seal our practice, take a moment to thank yourself for arriving to your practice today, for taking this time for self-care. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.